All right, Muse goes after someone close to the two most dangerous people in the city. Now, did they wrap up his storyline maybe a little too quick? We've got questions, we'll supply answers, and we got more coming up, maybe even a little comic dive in just a moment. Let's do this thing!
All right.
Hey, everyone. New intro we got going on today. Hi, everyone. I'm D. Got my main man here, Rob from Smirking Gun Reviews, ready to dive into a little bit of Daredevil Born Again. Yeah, I am real interested in where tonight's conversation is going to go. As I might have implied with my little ad for this, felt a little quick on the Muse story. And in fact, there is some story structure. While writing is good, maybe some story structure issues. We'll probably dive into a little bit more. But I want to kick things off today with Rob's point of view. I dived in, I think, first last week. So let's let Rob start here because I'm. It's like, no, I was hoping to get a break. I know that you had some thoughts on this, and I'm really curious, considering we've dived into a lot of stuff on Muse. And while I'm glad that he was a very centric episode, that we did not play around and kind of got right into it, did not expect this to just sort of wrap up his storyline. I expected him, as they played things, to be a little more main with the Fisk and Daredevil, Fisk and Matt storyline kind of like evolving in the background around this. Feels like that's kind of the opposite. This was really going to be all Matt Fisk, and Muse is just monster of the week. I don't know. What did you think, Rob? What did you feel watching this episode?
Okay. Last night, and even in before I did the rewatch, just before we went on, just like before, man, I was pretty unhappy, and I'm still. When I watched it again, I recognize that what I'm seeing is going to be seen as pretty good by most people's standards.
Yes.
And so I recognize the progression and what they're trying to do with this story, which is kind of like Matt's whole thing with being Daredevil, kind of like an addiction that people have to drugs or alcohol. Like the slip at the bank leads to him going full off the wagon to save the girl. And similarly, what's going on with Wilson Fisk. But after this episode, and I step back and I look at all of it so far, and to me, it's a really good Kingpin show.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's only mid. It's only a mid Daredevil show, and Charlie Cox is amazing. I feel like I was gonna put, instead of Smirking Gun, I was gonna put Law and Order Special Mayor's Unit, because I look at this now as kind of like there's a mayor who's a criminal in charge. He's been voted in because he's gonna bring real change, right? And people like to vote for criminals these days. So it's about the challenges that this guy has trying to be a criminal mayor. That's how I'm almost looking at it now. I feel like this whole show is kind of like a lot has become like follows more like procedural rules now.
Mm-hmm.
And Muse would be like watch like The Practice or some cops, like any of the like Criminal Minds or something where there's like they follow a guy for like a few episodes or whatever, and then it's just wrapped up. And that kind of feels like what they did here. It's there's he is just a guy that's boring. It's so boring. We are in a
Yeah.
comic book world, man. And anybody who loves this and is like, yeah, man, it shows how grounded and everything it is. We got dudes flying through windows dressed as devils, okay? So let's give them somebody equally. Did you know that I took Taekwondo?
I know, I was about to say, wow, is that just to justify a fight because it has no history and it goes nowhere? Yeah.
He killed and by the way, he killed the guy who taught him.
Yeah. So, I mean, was he a master then? Was he just good? Is he just psycho? Did he poison the guy?
So
Yeah, I know it implies that he is some badass. But I think
it's
it's
a way
only
for
for the
them to
ensuing
cover their
fight.
tracks in the writing room and say, well, look, see, he did have some abilities, though. He's not just some guy, he's a guy who was like, he reminds me.
Well, it's the quickness with which it's all. I mean, yes, we had an argument, or we had a disagreement with the show and how quickly they found Daredevil. That Angela was just like, yeah, it's down by the old track 61. And oh, okay, that's where the bodies were found. He's the first one to look and is able to find him. Okay, that was a little quick. But now, yeah, give us a search, give us a thing. But from the opening scenes, they're like, well, we tracked him down. It's the special thing. Of course, it's the special thing. Only 12 people do it. And we talked to 11. So it's got to be this guy. And he seems a little crazy. And then he's like up at Dr. Glenn's office going, I'm so glad that you helped me become the serial killer that I am. Here's my map. I mean, it just dumps it right into this. And I know I complain about this a lot, and I'm going to keep doing it. But all said and told, this is only like a 35-minute episode. Okay, that's 2/3. You get a whole other third of general premium storytelling that you could really do a hunt for Muse. Track them down. Let us see the cops interviewing these guys. Let them see them. It's just like, well, we just want to get to the end. Get to the point. Here is Muse. We get to the fight, and then we're on to the Fisk Matt stuff. And now, again, this is still better than most of the stuff that's been on Disney Plus. Okay, Marvel and Star Wars alike, not including Andor, coming up in a couple of weeks.
Thank God.
Yeah, but it's just the quality difference between what they did on a tighter budget, smaller budget on Netflix versus what they're doing here. I mean, they're getting here. They've got much better production value, but their storytelling and story structure, I don't know, feels like a teenage boy. We're just trying to get to the end. We just want to get to the good stuff right at the end, and we're done. Nap time and sandwich.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like.
We see the painting, or we see the graffiti. We see the creepy guy in the subway. We see the kid at the bookstore. They need help. Played by the kid from that show, Your Honor. So he's going to be something.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's handled like he would be the killer, like I said, of maybe a 2 or 3 episode arc on Law and Order.
Right.
Like, here's what he's doing. We catch him basically, but he gets away. And what are those? They always go after get a hostage or go after the person, and then they get stopped. And on those shows, they arrest him most of the time. But because we're dealing with superheroes here and dirty cops and freaked out people, they get to kill the guy. But it's
right.
just, it's just, yeah, it's so fast. It's dull. It's dull. And it was so obvious. And that was one of the things as I look at it, from afar again. Everything's right in front of us. It's all going really straightforward. It's all really obvious. And all I kept thinking was I never knew what was going to happen on the Netflix show. I never sat there thinking, oh, this is where this is going. I know absolutely where this is going. That show constantly, when it wasn't delivering on comic goodness, it was delivering a show that I was like so invested in, and I could not see everything coming. They just would do things that I would just be like, whoa, every time, every time. And this show, I can see the map of the whole damn thing, and I'm bored now.
Yeah.
And we live, this is set in a world with vigilantes, and I said this before, where are they? We talk about it, but like, Muse wasn't a vigilante, he was a serial killer. They're gonna, it looks like they want to just paint anybody with a hood as like a vigilante.
Yeah, but we've only seen one or two other. How do you have a task force for one guy?
One of them's dead already. You killed him. You're batting 1 for 1. You're like 100%. Two, like, and if you count, like, they're gonna take credit for Muse, they're batting 1,000 or whatever the fucking baseball metaphor would be.
Right.
Like, they've won, but they act like they've lost. I mean, that is familiar in our world right now. You won, but you act like you lost. But that's a whole different subject.
Sure.
I'm done. For the therapist is like this character that they just have because they can't rewrite Karen Page's life, right, to make her a therapist. So They create this character that can just so happen to be in everybody's fucking life. She's Matt's girlfriend. She's Kingpin and Vanessa's, their therapist. She's the freaking serial killer's therapist. She is connected to all of this stuff by coincidence, and it's not her fault. It's not the actress's fault. It's the way that they've put this together, and it's all like, if she's not there, none of this works. But it's a weak. If that's where you're just like, we're going to take this character and we're going to write all the things. We're going to take all the threads and connect them to her. That's lazy. That is lazy writing. And this show has all the performances, and again, there's good in this.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of great moments in the show. I mean, and I think that's what's more frustrating about it, is because it's like, you have the elements. What is it that you're stepping back from? Why are you pulling away from really going somewhere? And I mean, the easy answer for that is it's Disney. And Disney is a 4-quadrant company. And even if it's going to do more adult-oriented fare, it's still looking for ease of application.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't think too much. You don't have to worry too much. You can still have your adventure without having to be overly invested. But I don't know. For me, I'm like, but as a show maker, don't you want your audience invested in it? You can make it easily accessible and still deep.
Well, I mean, I think I'm in the minority on this. It sounds like everybody just like, I don't know. I guess everybody's really starved so that they'll just be like, this is considered top tier. But like, and yeah, I've been spoiled because I put Severance in my head for the past couple of months. So I'm watching really good story structure, and I'm seeing all the ways that you make a show. And then I watch this, and it's maybe unfair, but it's just, I can't help it. There's too many also, like, Why do we need the people at his office?
Oh,
Their conversations like have to do with anything other than they're going to be mad at Matt later about it, and it'll be something in his life that he's like not really like.
yeah, and to be honest,
do we care?
the whole Cherry thing, I almost thought that Cherry was kind of like edging him on, like, look into this. And this episode, he was all like, I don't want anything to do with it. You're an addict. Stay away from him. I mean, I don't know. I may have to go back, but I feel almost a little jerked around from Cherry's reaction.
Yeah, he's the one who tells him about the 60 deaths, right?
Yeah. Like what were you asking for, man?
Yeah.
Also, he just saved a life. You could be worried about him, but this automatic pushback and everything was like, I don't know. I felt a little whiplash off of that.
Yeah, the girl, the nephew or the niece or whatever of the guy who was murdered because of you guys got him there. Rescuing her isn't like a really big important thing. Wouldn't you be like, Matt, like it's just convenient writing to just be like, oh well, I'm just gonna like, do they even remember that that's the way that it was like an episode ago? Was it a different writer? Did that writer watch the show? Did the writer like I looked into the writing on this and it's just again, it's mid.
Yeah.
They're not terrible. It's not terrible. It just seems more like pay to play, writing. Like, here you go. This is the outline.
Yeah, I mean,
the thing is like more often than not, it's actually fine until I start to do the little digging about like why does this, why this, and I kept coming back to that therapist character and going, she was literally created to.
Well, and I think the frustration, honestly, is valid. I mean, look, Severance is a very high quality, high intellectual show. It's going for a different type of audience. But this is the audience Penguin is going for.
We talked about this last night.
Yeah.
Where I was like, the first 3 seasons of Netflix's Daredevil and the Penguin, you can put next to each other easy.
Yeah.
It's like the top, any of those seasons, 1, 2, or 3, and then put any of those seasons next to the Penguin, and you got like 2 of the best shows that represent comic books. This one you put next to the Penguin, no. This is, like I said, this show is feeling more and more procedural and more obvious. Everything is laid out in front of us. I'm sitting there last night coming up with a better scenario going, what if it wasn't this kid? What if he's just a messed up kid and we've been misdirected the whole time? I was thinking to myself, that's way better. Because this is just some guy who's messed up, and they introduce him so that we just focus on him, or so the internet can focus on him, so that we can go, oh, whoa, this guy, and even though like after the fact, I was like, well, it doesn't really make too much sense for this guy to be the guy, but I was like, what if it was Fisk's right-hand man or something? Even though I'm like, how would he have done? But the thing is like, I honestly don't care how they would have figured out how to do it, because with the way that they've written some of this stuff, I'd be fine. It would make as much sense as some of the other things. Something I have to tell you, Mr. Fisk, you don't really know what I do after dark. Have him be the guy with the Punisher shirt. Have him be the real wacko behind the scenes.
Yes, exactly. He could be one of the vigilante, one of the task force guys. Yeah. He's a cop, and this is how he's doing, and this is the way that he's praising up, Fisk things. Yeah, you could go into some really interesting stuff, and yes, give him the power of non-detectability. You could still keep it grounded. It'd be like, oh, yes, Taekwondo, he learned that like hyper meditation shit where he could slow his heartbeat and control his breathing and do all that. You can keep it grounded and still lean into that little fanciful bit.
To be really honest, I mean, the better ending would have been Daredevil gets there, but he gets there too late, and she's dead. And it's then you'd be like, oh my god, this like horrible like moment. This woman died, and he'd have even more guilt on him because he lied to her beforehand. He's gonna remember the last things of was lying to her, and Fisk would have to think about it because she was the therapist of his, and he let her die,
Yeah.
thinking Daredevil was going to be able to get there. Another reason to blame Daredevil. Like honestly, then you would have been able to have Muse out there still. Like, how do I catch him? He killed her, and have the conflict inside Matt being like, I can't believe that I couldn't get there. And is there something wrong with my powers? All of this that we're making up right here, right now, is better than what they gave us.
And he could easily have turned
care.
that and laid it all on Daredevil's. He's back, but he's gone insane.
Or she killed him without Matt. Even that,
Yeah.
Rena. Yes. He gets there and she's huddled in the corner with her gun out, and because she had blown him away. Or tried to, at least. Or like she got, like, you know what I mean? Like she shoots him, he gets away, and he can't figure out like how he didn't know. And the last, I don't know. But yeah, even that.
Damn it, Disney, call us. But no, it's the willingness to do that extra investment, because the people are there, the resources are there. If you're saying this is your premium television series, Marvel, Star Wars, these represent Disney's premium shows. I mean, give it a better foundation to build off of. It can't cost you a whole lot more. Maybe it's a time thing. I don't know why studios do stuff, but all right. Well, let's step back a little bit. Despite the whole Muse thing, and we'll probably dive back into that as we talk about this, the kind of background motion here, the over arc, is Daredevil is back. Fisk knows that he's back immediately, and it's just like, yeah, Daredevil, he did it. He saved me, yay. And Matt, you sound a lot like him. I really kept waiting for that.
Right.
It's, I kind of like that, if Fisk is like, he's back. It's that acceptance, but it's also like, but do we want that public? And that's kind of the interesting thing that Fisk kind of plays with. And one of the things that I liked the most about this, one, I'm really starting to enjoy Buck. I don't know what Buck's comic background, if any, he has. But I like him as the new Wesley. Thank you. I'm like, Warren? No, that's not it. But yeah, as a new Wesley, I think he's awesome. He's effective. But we get a nice discussion where he's like, hey, Daredevil did it. We got the thing with stuff. What's the problem? Why are you so worried? And it allows Fisk to really dive into why he hates Matt / Daredevil so much. We actually get it was a business empire and took me 10 years to build it. He destroyed it. And all these people and lost their jobs. And I was building this community and this port thing, and it would have been supportive. Again, it's that I was trying to do positive things, just with a lot of murder and human trafficking involved.
Conveniently leaves out all the things that he did. He blows up all those places in Harlem,
Yeah. So you can't. The jobs I was going to be a job creator for the city. But I like the back and forth, because even with that, Buck's like, yeah, but you're not like that anymore. You're now the mayor, and you've got all of this stuff and these options and these things. And isn't that a better way? It's a good positive pushback on Fisk's ambitions and viewpoints without it feeling antagonistic. It illuminates, I think, with those discussions a little bit more with us. And also underlines the fact that, but yeah, now you're the mayor. with cops and a whole infrastructure that can support you in doing these things. Again, we haven't really dived into the whole why so much outside of he's Fisk and this is stuff that he does. But I at least like the little bit of conversations and that kind of evolving, that we're getting that fuller view of why Fisk really dislikes Daredevil. It's not just this one thing. It was this whole big thing, and this is the one guy that's gone and, you know, repeatedly torn it down. This is his nemesis, in effect.
And he likes, it's that he likes having him, you know, like there's the like, I don't know, like it's maybe it gives him an excuse to be who he wants to be, you know, and that kind of like things are this is the way it was always going to be. This is the way it should be. Is me versus him, kind of like Batman and the Joker. Like it's just a constant.
Yeah. Though I would like to think a little bit more possible Superman and Lex.
Either way, I mean, you know, Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Doom, you know.
Sure. Well, yeah, and that's better merely because, again, you know, Joker's power is his unpredictability and craziness. Fisk is a very determined, thoughtful, planning individual, which you know makes him interesting. Okay, and I mean, and we still have the little like mob stuff going on in the background. We had the whole Lucas Vanessa conversation in the beginning that sort of leads to, I think, a very appropriate ending, and I think at least clarifies, you know, it's always Vanessa and Fisk and Wilson together, and I like that. Again, it also, I'm enjoying Buck and the fact that he's just waiting up and pop drop. I'll ask if she wants to bring anything home.
Did you notice the purple roses in front of her?
I didn't. I did not. No.
Okay. Again, I think it's because of the well, there's the purple rose character. Wears the purple hood, and sometimes I believe it's usually Fisk's son that is like the head of like this kind of like organization. Sometimes I don't know if it's always been 100% against Fisk or sometimes working with Fisk. I'm sure they've probably done both storylines over the last 40 years, but like, sure. I'm just waiting to see if maybe they're gonna, well, bring Purple Rose in and fuck that up too.
Yeah, but you don't have to rush into it. You can take your time fucking it up. I mean, there's only 2 episodes left, and I thought Muse was at least going to bring us up to the point, and that would be the action that would propel whatever, you know, the part 2 season is, the conflict. But that's not going to happen.
I think it's going to be really straightforward, and that's what I was saying last night. I think that I think you need to kind of just forget any kind of subversion of expectations and anything really out of too far of left field. I think what's the obvious next moves going forward, right? Like if you know, him and Vanessa working together to remove the criminal element, is that just setting her up for her own thing so that way she's got that side of things and he's got his, and how eventually that will collide and not work. You know, and then you got Matt gonna have to, you know, I think it will get darker for Matt, but I don't know how dark. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if we've got the Daredevil versus cops fight coming, maybe even in the next episode.
Right.
I don't know how long it's gonna be. I all these things just lead me to like go, I don't know, will maybe Daredevil get arrested for the finale? I don't know.
Sure. Well, that's what I was talking to my wife last night. I was like, okay, well, it's either going to be Matt's going to be exposed as Daredevil, or he gets framed for murder or whatever, and he's on the run from the task force. You know, it's going to be it's going there's
Oh,
they've put themselves in only a couple of places, like you say, because it's going to be very straightforward.
Zdarsky did put Chip Zdarsky's run did put Daredevil in jail
Mhm.
because he accidentally killed somebody or feels like he's responsible for the death of somebody. And it would not surprise me because they actually did it, you know, when they did it, it made sense and it was like really cool steps that led Matt to jail.
Sure.
But I think that they might combine. It's very possible that they could combine the Fisk vigilante thing with putting Daredevil in jail, exposing him to the world, right? So that, and then putting him in jail and him having to be in that position again, him against the criminals. Maybe Frank Castle has to come and rescue him. Also, the ability that he could probably get out of jail if he wanted to,
Mhm.
and stays there because his guilt. He could run into Bullseye in there.
Yeah, I've got to expect that we're gonna see old Dex again at some point soon. They couldn't just use them just for the open. I mean, they could, but that would be just such a waste. Um, well, and you do have, to me, I think you do have an interesting arc with Dr. Glenn, is because obviously we have the opening scene where Matt's recovering and she jumps in and finds his bruises and he distracts her with sex. Oh, that's nothing, baby. La, la, la. Hey,
I don't know.
Matt's
Like,
playa.
I feel like the sex part was just Matt coming down for like he was just getting that adrenaline rush and the whole sex and action
Oh,
shit.
sure. No, I mean it.
But
Yeah,
afterwards, yeah, everything out of his mouth was a lie, and that's again why.
right. We got the addiction possibility of. I mean, it did like the idea we're dealing with trauma and he's being evasive and he's not used to having people around. And it's, this was a secret he didn't have to keep. And now he's out of practice. I mean, I get that. Um, but then when we get to the whole Muse bit, we do have a couple of interesting. One, honestly, the only kind of fun line that I had with the whole Bastion revealing himself like so plainly and directly to her. He was like, but I know what you're thinking. There's only one question you have. Can I get to the door fast enough? I was like, okay, that was kind of cool. I mean, it's direct, it's cheesy, but he was leaning one way and then he popped back over to this. I kind of liked it. Um, but her response after his whole mask thing was it anybody who needs a mask is a coward. That's gotta reverberate when we get Matt later on because she's like, he said my name, but Daredevil did it. And she is so fucked up. I don't know if she becomes a supervillain after this or what. I know Heather's from the comics. I know there was a long relationship with Matt and her. I'm unfamiliar with those runs back in the 70s and it was kind of like 60s and 70s, I think, or 70s, early 80s. So I don't know anything about where this might be going, what storylines of hers that they might be pulling off of. But her kind of trauma after shooting him and all of that, I feel that we've got to have. They're going somewhere with Heather just because they made her so central to so many different people. When
Mhm.
Matt hears it, of course it's his girlfriend. He's going to run save her. But even when Fisk hears that Muse is going after Dr. Glenn, or that's his doctor, or whatever like that, you know, he reacts very strongly. And while it's, again, it sucks to put her so central because it makes everything all easy, I am hoping at least they're going to use that to pay off in something. But because everybody is upset that Matt is hiding stuff, both in the office and with his girlfriend and everything, him being exposed in some level seems to be the only direction they're going in. Um, you know, I don't know. This show really seems to try and get the least amount of Daredevil out of our Daredeviling. First thing we do, we take him away. Then he can't Daredevil for the first half of the season. Then we give a little hint, and then we'll get him exposed or arrested or something. I don't know.
I mean, he used to just run around and put a black knit thing over his face. And just, there it was, wrap
Honestly, that's still my favorite costume.
Yeah.
The black outfit, especially when he gets the ropes on.
Yeah.
The old black outfit with just the ropes.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, to me, that's the best Daredevil. And I know that that's not the traditional, that was sort of that was brought in later on. But yeah, I always love that.
It's do it yourself, and that's what he had. He just thought, what do I have to work with? And it looked cool, looked authentic.
Well, and it looks like for a street level that you're not going to have some like super parsed together costume. I mean, even Spider-Man's at least looks like just a unitard for the most part. Once you start getting everything armor, it's like, okay, who's making it? Now, of course, we did have a guy in the first couple of seasons of the Netflix that we saw where he made it from, and that was at least something. I'm not going to refer to the She-Hulk and everybody has the superhero costumer guy's number. I hate that.
He really needs a scene with Spider-Man. I know. Blah, 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 blah. But those two guys need to have a scene together because it's not. Here's the thing. This is not fan service to me. This is story. And those two guys check each other regularly. And they are close to each other. Literally, geographically, and personally. And I just think that as casually as he showed up as Peter's lawyer, he should be popping up on a roof just to have a quick chat. It's not fan service. I think Matt needs to hear from another vigilante. But unfortunately, it'll probably just be Frank Castle, which at least it's John Bernthal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the problem. They can't, I think they can only use Spidey in the Avenger films. They're not going to parse him over to a little Disney Plus show. Yeah. But you're right. It should happen. And to be perfectly honest, if he cameoed, if there was one scene in the Fantastic Four and it totally doesn't fit the timeline or the aesthetics or anything that they do, when they're fighting Galactus to get one shot down in the city where you have Daredevil and Spider-Man sitting next to each other like, yeah, man, we ain't going to do shit in this fight. Just having a sandwich and just like, yeah, we're the street level guy.
No, Spider-Man goes to take off and thwip, and Daredevil stops him. And he's like, no.
Yes.
No, trust me. I can't see that, but I know that's beyond you and me right now.
Yeah.
We got to let the big brains deal with this.
Yeah. It totally doesn't fit for the aesthetic and time frame that they're doing the Fantastic Four filming, but that is like a total comic book scene right there.
Yeah.
Let's see. So we've got, Glenn's freaking out. Fisk obviously taking the credit. I did like that little kind of end scene where you've got Daniel pulls BB into the office and you can see that he's doing that power twist. Like, no, you did this thing for me. This is what I need in order to even that out. And tell you what, this could open up your world or it could shut down your world. The answer you give me in the next couple of seconds, and I love that. The answer you give me in the next couple of seconds is going to determine which future that is. I'm not threatening you. I'm offering you an opportunity. So dark, so twisted, so perfect. It's little moments like this that honestly is like still keeps the show going. Because I'm like, man, you guys do have stuff. You just miss sometimes, and it's just frustrating. Again, I still think the show's good. My frustration is because we know it can be better, and it's not too much more to ask out of it. It's not out of the realms of possibilities by any way, shape of the imagination.
Nope. Honestly, I mean, we don't see Daredevil like use radar. We don't see him doing like how it was like in the Affleck movie, you know, and
right.
shit, where he goes into like Batman Arkham detective mode and shit.
And maybe that's good. It was always a little too much.
What I mean is like it's letting us know that we know how his powers work, and if they need to do something specifically cool, they'll show us, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't even do that in any of this. Like again, it all hinges on heroes only as good as his villain. Yes, we've seen these guys spar forever. So when you bring in other characters to also have different interactions with both those two hero and villain,
Mm-hmm.
it's more interesting if you give them like powers instead of just, hi, I'm a guy and I took taekwondo, you know, and I'm.
Well, yeah, you got to have a villain that challenges your hero. Otherwise, he's just a fucking bank robber. And
He's
yeah,
just a
bank robbers.
weirdo with we don't even really know anything about him. He's like the dude from Seven, man. Like we don't know what made John Doe tick. All we know is like we have a bunch of conflicting stories he's telling her. Like 1 second, I love my parents. They made me do these things. So we can't even trust this guy. Now he's dead. So we don't even. What did any of the shit he was doing matter?
That's exactly right.
Like why all the performative and all this other stuff, we're just gonna be left like, I guess he was just a crazy kind of guy. You know, just a little.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't think there's a whole lot more we can really add on top of that of anything today. I mean, I'm going over notes again, and we had a good fight. We had some good stuff. I am amused by the fact of Fisk like taking credit for taking out Muse, and no, Daredevil isn't back. It's like, wonder what your motivations. I mean, obviously, you're not protecting Matt in any way, shape, or form, but I think he's holding that back and not giving himself more of the wins without bringing up any potential competition and such. I mean, I think he's just managing things nicely. It's just kind of funny where he's like, he's back, but we really don't want to talk about that. Let's keep that all under wraps for the moment. From a mayoral standpoint, just interesting choices.
Yep.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
I got nothing else. Rena, Bill in the chat ask you the good questions as they always do. Pretty much stuff that we've talked into. Bill's mentioning it's so weird they introduce Muse late and then take him out early. Yeah, exactly.
We were leaving breadcrumbs for you guys to follow, and then it just.
Well, we got 2 episodes left. Next week I am again. I will be on the road. So I think we're still gonna aim for the same time and everything, except for me. I will be in Washington D.C., so I will be at 9:00 Eastern, while Rob is still at 8 p.m. Central for the show. Still technically 6:00 on the Pacific Coast, but we won't be there. I won't be there at the very least. I will try not to be arrested while I'm in Washington, D.C. I promised my wife I wouldn't moon the White House. But I'm just hoping to go see, taking my grandson to the Smithsonian before they ruin it, and a couple of the other museums. So I'll let you guys know if I find anything interesting. Maybe we'll drop some videos on the channel or in one of the socials for that. But Other than that, as I said, in a couple weeks we will have Andor coming in. So we'll probably be covering those same day, same time. And
When's
I
The
don't know.
Last of Us Part 2 come out?
Yeah,
When am I talking about that show?
yeah, you
When do I
got
gotta,
something. You got something coming up soon.
when do I gotta get Max?
But see, that's gonna be the frustrating part. Is we're gonna go from a show that historically has had some very solid storytelling to honestly two of the best shows that are out. The
April
Last of
13th.
Us season one was insane. Andor season one surprised the hell out of me. It was my least anticipated show, and it is by far the best piece that Star Wars has done. The only downside is they are dropping 3 episodes a week over 4 weeks. So we'll have 3 episodes to talk about for each of those reviews. We'll see how it goes. From my understanding, those each 3 episode chunk takes place in a particular time frame, and then they time jump to the next 3 episode chunk. So that's sort of how it's all parsed out.
Man, what do they have against? I don't know.
I don't know. For me, that's like 3 months of quality TV, and you're going to squeeze it all into a month. Look, I got nothing. I got nothing there. But
Well,
yes.
April 13th is when The Last of Us Season 2 comes out. I will be coming back from C2E2 that day. So it's either going to be a real. I'm not going to review it that night.
Yeah. And I'll still be in DC. So I don't know. I have no idea what my viewing potentials will be like that. So you may have to cover the first one without me, or I will talk to you when I figure out what the heck's going on. I'll probably end up watching it on my phone with my wife, all huddled together like some sort of post-apocalyptic scenario, watching another post-apocalyptic scenario. That actually seems kind of appropriate now that I say it like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Last of Us coming over to Smirking Gun Reviews, Andor coming to D's Reviews. But for the next 2 weeks, we are still going to be here talking about Daredevil Born Again. Same Daredevil time, same Daredevil station. Any final words before we get out of here, Rob?
I should be reviewing next Tuesdays or Wednesday, but clearly before we do this, the final season of The Handmaid's Tale starts. And I've been watching the 5th season to catch up because it was the only season I didn't talk about. And I'm going to try to discuss my thoughts on the final season of that show. Kind of as I got to go back, and that show gives me a reason to say some certain things that I haven't said in a while. I'm kind of wanting to. So if you want to hear some spicy stuff, keep an eye out.
Excellent. All right. Well, Rena, Bill, thanks so much for joining us live in the chat. Everybody else, thank you for joining us in the archives. Please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Until next time, so long, take care, and watch out for Nazis.